Hi everybody, welcome and thank you for being here. Today we are jumping right in, and just to be very clear, today's video is thanks to a subscriber with whom I have regular communications, who has excellent knowledge of the royal families of Europe, including Britain, who has an insight into the elite of Europe, a fair knowledge of history and politics, really a fantastic support and help when it comes to making these videos. Now, today's video is not my usual fare. It is slightly different and may sound just a little bit like conspiracy theory. But my friends, we have to consider every possibility with an open mind, because not everything is as it seems right now. That, my dear friends, I can 100% promise you. The first thing I'm struggling with before I even start today's video, and quite frankly something my best, let's call him a palace informant, Jay, is struggling with, is the fact that what is written and talked about in the media does not, and I repeat not, align with what is happening behind the scenes. The media keep quoting trusted sources saying the king does not want to see or speak to Harry. The king is very angry with Harry, blah, blah, blah. And he says that is not what he hears or what he sees. But just keep that in the back of your minds, because I'll make another video explaining this more, because for now we are going to go into what my subscriber, my supporter and brilliant commentator and I spoke about, because it makes so much sense. Firstly, she shared some information with me, and just don't ask how or where exactly it came from, blah, blah, blah. It just is what it is. First and foremost, Ukraine has 4 major international airports, and do not ask me to name them, because it would be a travesty, okay? I cannot speak Ukrainian or Russian. Anyway, along with the 4 big international airports, there are also about 9 other significant airports, and this excludes obviously military airports and temporary landing sites for military purposes, etc. Now, please take note from official documents, okay? Since 2022, commercial flights have been grounded in Ukraine. A week ago, it was reported that Ukraine's largest airport is being fixed and cleaned up, and on the 8th of April, which means a few days ago, it was said by management that they are hoping to reopen the airport in about a month's time, if it is deemed safe or safe enough. So one thing you can take as fact and go bank it is that there is no way Harry's visit to Ukraine was a surprise visit. No way, Jose. Either he started the process to get permission months ago, or he was allowed on a military or government flight and plane. Or this trip of Harry's is connected to a NATO meeting he attended in London a while ago. As this brilliant person said, and believe me, I checked and verified every word of what she said, and suggested, even though she is brilliant, I still feel it my duty to check everything. Anyway, like she said, Invictus does not hold the power to open an airport, and it is highly doubtful that Zelensky would change his military strategy, that is, if he even has one, to protect the landing of a plane carrying the ex-royal called just Harry. The other alternative is that Harry landed in Poland and Zelensky gave him permission to enter the country. But we'll get back to how he got into the country in a while, okay? But let's quickly look at what it must have taken for him to be there. To protect Harry, it must have meant that Zelensky had to withdraw, say, at least one military aircraft and a handful of men to watch over Harry. We are talking quite a bit of money and effort. And all for Invictus? Really? Well, guys, just to remind you, Ukraine is still at war. So it is highly doubtful that they would do that much just for Invictus. So was Invictus just a front? The answer is more than likely. Yeah, on the surface he could have done the Invictus thing. But who did Harry really represent? And what was he really, honestly and truly doing there? Now you see, sometimes something we say here on YouTube goes a little further than we anticipate it to go. Let's say it hits a nerve somewhere. Now, I've had a tiny measure of trouble with things I said on here. Not with YouTube, because no way ever do I break YouTube's rules, and when I do my own rating on my own videos, I am as truthful about my content as I can be. And if I know I'm pushing the envelope a little, I demonetize my own video before they can do so. So my rating with YouTube stays 90% and above. Anyway, there are times when I know I'm hitting a nerve, when I know the shot hit the target, and I know I better duck because shots are going to be fired back at me. And this is one of those times, because something I said in a previous video did pinch a nerve and struck the target. So with a question as to who the person or organization or entity is whom Harry really represented in Ukraine, we have opened a hornet's nest. So give me a minute to divert from Ukraine and ask another question. Why did Trump say he wasn't going to deport Harry? In reality, President Trump could have used many reasons and excuses to deport Harry. Things like, obviously, Harry's visa. I mean, we know there had been lies and shenanigans. They wouldn't have gone to so much trouble to hide the truth, okay? Harry's attack on freedom of speech through the Aspen Institute. Remember Harry also saying that the First Amendment is bonkers? Well, President Trump could have used that as well. But instead, Trump said he won't deport Harry because he has a nasty wife. Really? Yeah, right. That, my dears, is utter rubbish. So why did President Donald Trump actually do that? Because Trump likely knew that he would become the scapegoat for Harry's actions, just like I said in my previous video. And likely because Trump knows there is a much bigger idea and agenda behind Harry, and a wise man knows the best defense against your enemies is to keep them close. So at this point we are a bit stumped, aren't we? What, where, who, why? Well, here is a theory for you, and before you jump at me and unsubscribe in droves, this is not from me, and it is not quite from my brilliant subscriber, or Jay for that matter. So please, I beg you to not shoot the messengers. This is what is allegedly making the round behind heavy doors. It is said, or speculated, that Harry is like a double agent for the monarchy and Charles and the Democrats in America. And in their words, and I quote, "It is not going to end well. He does not have the knowledge or the skill, and his big ego puts him at risk." Okay, the at risk part was my own words. Okay, the persons I got this from was far more blunt and direct. Okay, and I would rather not go there. And just to end this video by changing direction just a little bit, I'm told that it wasn't just schedules and fluke, that it was William meeting President Trump in Paris. It is said that Donald Trump absolutely loved the Queen, and we all know that, and that he likes and respects William, but not so much the King. Maybe he's a bit too woke for him. Anyway, so it was the British government who instructed William to go to Paris, all allegedly for legal reasons, of course. And also, allegedly, this has caused some discord behind palace walls. Some would call it jealousy. But, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave this here for now. Thank you to my behind-the-scenes collaborators this week. I really appreciate your trust in me and our candid conversations. Okay, and now I need to go and evaluate my own situation. The rose bushes need pruning. I have plants which needs to be planted out into the garden and other which need repotting. Goodness, and you do not want to see my bedroom and office. I can barely move in it. So until next time, take good care of yourselves and stay safe. Bye.